So I just wanted to get this video out there as soon as possible so that you all are ahead of the curve before a potential market crash, because this happens every year and we need to get ahead of it before the pre-crash, which it looks like, from looking at the data and stuff, that it will be on the Thursday probably. Hello and welcome to Tark's Foot Flips. I wanted to talk about the market today and how the market state is and what we can expect in the lead up to the full game release. So with the full release being this Friday, and we also have promo coming, the new promo. I have no idea what it's called. Yeah. I am a bit concerned about what the state of the market is going to be with the colossal amount of potential packs being opened, and what we saw the other day with the pack store is, let me get it up here, these 100k packs were released and then you just saw the market just tank. So I am concerned with this ending in 3 days 3 hours, that it will end up getting refreshed around content time on Friday during the full game release. So that will cause the market to tank through the floor briefly until everyone sort of like starts getting their coin balance rolling and then starts purchasing cards again. So yeah, I'm very concerned. So a lot of my investments in that I've made, especially ones that are a little bit off meta, I'm going to try and sell before Friday. So last year, if I remember rightly, we were leading up to the full game release and prices were, well, first of all, at the start of the week, they sort of like will continue to rise, and then they sort of like become a bit stagnant, and that sort of like floating around sort of like a certain price and that. And then when it comes to the actual full day release, they tanked through the floor before then starting to rebound. So we want to be as liquid as possible going into the Friday session. So we can't see overly that well. It won't let me zoom in any further. But the index last year drops from 89 to 85. So that for me tells me that the market has gone down a bit on that, but doesn't reflect the true story. From what I remember rightly is there was a mass of packs opened, the market tanked before then having a rebound. So I'm concerned going into Friday with the amount of packs that are going to be opened. So any players that are worth anything at the moment, I'm going to try and sell before Friday in order to be as liquid as possible, so have as many coins on hand to then buy what I want during this market crash that probably will be happening on Friday. So this is the graph for last year for Ronaldo. With him being he is a big name player, obviously. But I just want to show you what happens to players that are in off leagues and aren't overly that meta, even though it is Ronaldo. So with Ronaldo, we see him going from 25k there. We go into the Thursday session. There's a big sort of sell-off in anticipation of the game. And then there's actually it's a little bit, so with this graph, it shows from the Thursday to the Friday him actually rising, but I can't pull up the hour by hour, but you can't see the full sort of like story of what happened. So this is an average price for the day. So there's a big sell-off on Thursday. So the look at this from last year, it looks like it's best to sell on the Wednesday, because leading into the Thursday session, there's a big sell-off, and then Friday is a bit of a rebound. However, this doesn't show the true story. So I can't show you the hour by hour, but I bet he dipped a lot below the 13k briefly when all the packs and that were opened. So if we look at a player like Lewandowski, he starts off at 18k, drops a bit, people realise it's not that meta. He gets to the Thursday session, a little bit of a sell-off. Friday, he's sort of like around about the same sort of price. And then just sort of like stays about the same sort of price. And you think, well, it is a decent league. He's not a meta player. Why is he doing that? Well, if I zoom out a little bit more, he's still holding his price. That's because he's 88 rated. So he is what we call a fodder card. They'll get down to a certain price and then he will just hold his value because of the rating on that card. So he is a low risk investment, being a fodder card. So here's the graph of Son for last year. He was extremely meta last year with the Finesse Shot Plus. And as we see through the early release, he just sort of like slowly rises up until the Thursday sell-off a little bit. And then into Friday, just sort of like carries on rising until, until the 1st of October. And he sort of like holds his price very well and is continuing to rise. So unless I could make more coins elsewhere, I would be holding him and just waiting for him to rise. If you haven't bought one and want one for your team, you've been on him up for a while, not necessarily Son because he's not in the Prem anymore, but a meta player, I mean. A high rated meta player, I might add. Then by the look of this, it looks like the Thursday will be the best time to buy, unless you want to buy with the supply on Friday. But with the 100k packs potentially released again on the Friday, yeah, I'll be more tempted to go in for the Friday. I just think this graph's going to be a bit different this year, because we haven't really had too much pack supply, and those 100k packs just look like they're going to be re-released on Friday with the new promo. Yeah, I stand by it. I think there's going to be a market crash on Friday. I think it's not going to look quite like this, although this doesn't tell the whole story of last year because there was a crash on the Friday session before then rebounding. So we're going to look at a low rated meta player now, because Walker was very meta last year. The best right back in the Prem. He's overpriced to start off with the short amount of supply. He drops until, I suppose, about the same between Tuesday and Thursday, and then has a little bit of a rise after the supply on Friday into Saturday. But if you look at his price, what we got, like 70k there, and by the 3rd of October he's only lost 6k. So the thing is, with the slower power curve this year, I think even these sort of players are going to rise. I think this is going to look different this year. I think these players will slowly rise until October with the slower power curve. So people needing different squads with like the gauntlet mode, I don't know, tournament requirements. You've got the England sort of like tournament sort of like coming up at the I don't know when. I just think that these players are just going to have more of a rise. Like a meta player like Walker, I just think there's going to be more of a rise this year. I want to keep my trade pile as full as possible. However, if there's players that I want to rotate out of, I will be selling them. or players that I think are a little bit off meta and are going to go down a lot, I would be selling them. Any top tier meta players, we're talking like your Salahs and that, I would be keeping because they're not really going to drop unless you can use the coins elsewhere to make yourself more coins. So, as a time frame, Wednesday is probably going to be sell day. Thursday, there's probably going to be a market sell off, and you might see another crash before the game release on Friday. And the market will probably pick up until content and then have another crash if these like 100k packs end up being refreshed. So I think Friday is going to be more risky. It's going to be a balancing act between seeing the packs that people open and the coins that they get with going out and buying players to sort of like how much the market will rise before content. And then at content, these 100k packs might be re-released, and that could have a big tank of the market. So yeah, any off meta players and that I would be selling as soon as possible. Any low rated cards I would be selling if they're worth anything. Any top 10 meta players I would be keeping to hopefully see them rise into October. But I would be looking for a buy window on Friday or Thursday if there's a big market sell-off, which there probably will be on Thursday in anticipation of the game release. And it just depends on Friday whether the pace of the market increasing is going to outweigh the actual the new promo and the dip that the promo is going to have on the market in general. If these 100k packs are going to be re-released at content or slightly after content on Friday, then you'll wait an hour afterwards and then you will see a colossal amount on the market, as in bidding wise. So you might be able to just sort of like mass bid on certain players and that you want to pick up to sell. I thought it was important to get this video out there sort of like as soon as possible, because it's like if the pre-crash is going to be happening, it's going to be happening fairly soon. We're talking Thursday. But that's going off of last year, and it can change. EA can release something at any point. EA can put more packs in the store at any point. But just gauge it as you see it, pretty much. You've been watching Tark's Flips, and I'll see you all again soon.